There it goes, live. Oh, it's small.
Yeah, so that one does and twist that one like that.
Oh,
does that. So
that
that tightens it and then that tightens it.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
That is cool.
Just shake it around. Let's not share it. There we go.
So at the moment I'm just trying.
Yeah, this is cool.
I think we have the same phone too.
Yeah.
It's even the same colour.
Yeah. If you buy the red one, it gives money to
Oh, you got the pop sign.
Yeah, it's got my name on it.
Yeah.
How do
That's one way to.
how do I join the live?
This is an Instagram. You can't do that.
Oh,
You just live stream your own.
live stream my own.
Just
I can't live stream. Right. I don't know what my passcode is for my YouTube account.
Yeah.
Oh, is your account private?
No, I don't know what it is.
No, it's his work account.
Look, I'll tell you one of my videos, Alfie. It's got 180,000 views.
What did you do?
It's an ad.
Well, it is an ad, and it annoys
That's
people.
why.
Where is it? There it is. Look at this.
Turn the volume down so. Okay.
We saw the Northern Territory was crying out for high-quality,
That's
sustainable
me on that
housing.
side.
We wanted to deliver energy-efficient housing to Darwin. That's great for the environment
Oh,
and
that's
for the
seeing.
community. 12 years
look
of
at it
hard
go.
work later, we
This is
were awarded
professional.
Best
Yeah,
Media
is
Is that a
Australia
drone or is that a
HA.
track?
Probably.
They have a camera that's on one of those
Gimbals. Oh,
gimbals.
it's a
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. It's fucking massive.
You'll have a home
Red,
built by
this is the
Territorians
brand
on
Red.
Territory
Red.
conditions. Built
Yeah,
with
it's
Australia's best
expensive.
I
right
hate
here
the
in
movie.
Darwin.
Hate it with passion.
That's it. Now
It's
that's
so
one more fucking
temperamental.
view, bro.
That's
One more view.
that's bullying, Dad.
That's 205,000 views. Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, I used to work in the film industry, and now I don't because I hate it. No, I don't hate it. It's just
But look at the
A lot.
start of my this other long video. I fucked this up. Terrible. You can't even understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess it would make more sense. It'll be easier if you were speaking over it.
They wouldn't let me speak over it. I recorded it 3 or 4 extra times, and they tried to put it in
No, I mean
sync
if
with my
you weren't
lips,
speaking over the.
and they couldn't get it to work. Yeah.
Oh, that's what you're
they should
talking.
have just reshot the thing.
Yeah.
Silly people.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just say hello. it's just. I'm pretty sure someone might get probably just
There was
staring.
a dog for a second.
A dog. Hold on. What's the? It's just on each other. Yeah. Say hello. Yeah. It's just a GoPro tattoo cat. Oh, hello. Say hello. Hello. That's adorable. That's adorable. Yeah, high five. Yeah, yeah high five. Okay. Yeah. That's adorable.
Just like get someone starts drinking the water.
What? Drinking the water? Why?
Yeah, she's tempted to get up there.
Oh.
And Candy,
Aww.
loosen up a little bit so when you move it doesn't that one.
That one. There we go. That's better. There we go. I'm holding
So
it.
it makes me not look like I was out last night. We went out afterwards, and then we went to Melbourne Public,
Oh yeah.
which is like literally around the corner.
Next door, yeah.
And then we went there, and it was boring. I was like, I'm hungry. Because I left. I left. And
So if you're staying in the hotel, whereabouts did you come from?
Darwin.
the lobby,
Oh,
and I
nice.
saw that. And then a bunch of lobby rats too.
Whereabouts in New Zealand do you live?
Mind you, this is like
Oh, yeah.
midnight, one, and there's
Yeah.
a bunch of kids.
For 3.5 years. Live in New Zealand for the moment. And then, I don't know, we're from New Zealand. Actually,
And then
after this bike ride, I wasn't tied to that place anymore.
Yep.
So, yeah, see where life takes me, I
I was like, okay,
suppose.
I'm just gonna get because the plan was to grab food and I'm gonna take food upstairs. And just like, no, I ended up staying down there till like 1:30, and then I was like about to pass out, and so then I went up home, and then I went to sleep, and then at 2 o'clock, Chopper.
Hello.
And so Chopper and Anakin.
Just,
And I'm just they brought food up. And then like bathroom all of a sudden they come in, and then I wake up and they're just like sitting on the bed facing me. I was like, what the fuck? I don't know, but it was so weird, it was so funny.
yes, sir. Stay, bro.
And then
Okay.
and then I just stayed awake till like 3 o'clock just talking about it. And I was like, when's Hannah? When's Hannah coming back? Because I didn't want to like be taking up the whole bed and then have her.
Do you want to sit next to me? Are you got? Do you have a friend coming, or do you want to sit next to you? Yeah.
And
Hello. You think
What's your name again? Yeah, he does like going to be doing just like update laughing on. Like Philip DeFranco kind of style.
Ah,
and then she came back anyway.
that sounds cool. This isn't my child, but this is his.
I don't think I follow you on Twitter yet, actually. Maybe? That's what's for. The Matthew report. Is that who you are on Twitter as well? Yeah.
Would you like to spell that out for the 0 people watching?
Very active.
I know, I'm saying 0 people watching on my video.
It could serve you.
Dad. Let's look at it.
Yeah, I've been like, cannot build anything in like 5 months, and then last 2 months ago I said, I'm going to VidCon in the video. Yeah.
I've uploaded like, I don't have a like schedule. I just upload because I can.
Yes.
It's just, oh, I haven't uploaded in a week. 8 videos at once. Actually, no, it was a month or so. And I'm just like, I haven't uploaded in a long time. Splat. And then just, boom. Oh, there he is. Hey, Yid, I told you.
That was the guy in the elevator.
Yeah, that's the guy that,
We were in the elevator with this guy.
yeah. The second time we ever went on the elevator, that was with
You
him.
didn't know who he was before?
I knew, I thought it was him, but I wasn't sure if it was him. I thought it was him, but I wasn't sure.
That's what the girls outside the hotel are waiting for.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure if it was him or just somebody who looked like him.
Or maybe he appreciated that we didn't mob him, you know.
Because he didn't have his glasses on, I don't
I
think.
sent him an email.
Do you have his glasses on? Hello!
Still 2 minutes, so feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
She's just pouring a drink of water in front of us.
Oh my god.
Say.
Such a cute little thing.
Aww.
Hi, Henry Green.
Hey, this is a new thing I'm doing.
Oh,
I'm
right. I
innovating
could just.
on the ideas of panels and stuff. If you have any specific things that you came here to hear about, you can tweet them at me if you have Twitter. Does everybody have Twitter now?
No. I have.
You can tell me and I'll tweet it.
I have
I have
Instagram.
Twitter. I have Twitter.
But it's not great for my Sign up for Twitter. It's available.
I'm streaming. I can't.
Or
Thanks, Dad.
wherever you get apps. Yeah, just so like I can look and make sure that we hit all the points before we even start. Know maybe why you showed up. But also I'm going to do a poll of the room. Raise your hand if you make YouTube videos regularly.
Oh wait. Technically, I don't have a schedule. I guess regularly is.
You do every
I do a lot.
Okay. If you haven't been making YouTube videos for more than a year, less than a year, people, raise your hand if you're thinking about but haven't made a lot of YouTube videos regularly. Thinking about? Okay.
How do you make a? I make a
Have
lot
any
of
interest in making YouTube videos? Hey, what's up?
green boys.
Okay, cool. Alex didn't raise her hand, so apparently going via YouTube stuff. We're working hard. Okay. Grace.
Yes.
Yesterday we were hanging out and you said, well, yesterday you saw.
Yesterday I
You
saw.
tell the story.
Okay. So I was under the impression before I came to this convention, I was asked to host the fireside chat with Hank Green, and that's what happened. I mean, I've got the receipts. But I saw I had my neighbor yesterday, and I was like, I have to set aside some time to catch up on everything that Hank's doing so I can host this fireside chat. And they go, he thinks that he's interviewing you. He thinks that he's hosting your fireside chat. And I was like, ooh, I kind of don't want to get this cleared up.
That's just going. I mean, honestly, it's not like we don't both have things to say.
Yeah, and it's honestly not like we have been able to catch up with each other on a personal, professional level.
It's true. This
Yeah.
is the only opportunity we're going to get.
Well, yep.
Let's take advantage of it.
Yeah. Let's talk about all of our personal shit right now. I'll do it.
Otherwise, people
Yeah.
will interrupt us.
Oh, yeah. This is the only time we will get to talk, just you and I.
So I've prepared a bunch of questions for my
She's got
for
Coke.
me hosting a fireside chat with
She's
you.
got the Diet Coke.
And
She's
have you
doing it.
likewise done the same?
Yes and no.
So I don't see like a nice, healthy book full of questions the way that I have.
This chamber of terrible secrets. And also, I was wanting to make it, because the cool thing I love about, this is my second year of this convention here in Australia, and the coolest thing is that it's a little bit more pared down than the version in the US, and so I feel like it's a more intimate, fun, casual kind of conversations that you can have. So I was going to make it a group chat in a lot of ways.
So you're going to put all the work on somebody.
Yeah. Delegating. Somebody said a professional term.
Delegating to a bunch of strangers you don't pay. That's not how you should pay them. Should we pay them? I feel like that is the opposite way.
Well, we can get to that.
So nobody's tweeted me yet, so I don't know what you.
Is there a
expect me to get out
hashtag we
of
should
it.
use?
What?
Is there a hashtag we should use?
You could use. I was just at Hank.
Okay.
Why don't we just ask the questions here?
Like, why are you
I can do it over
tweeting
Twitter.
about- You must be follow us both.
Yeah, well,
That's a lot of
So,
Yes.
Do you have any questions?
I'll let you kick it off.
what you working on?
Ooh, that's a great question. Digestion right now.
Meatball sub.
I had a meatball sub from Subway sandwich shop this morning for breakfast. Highly recommend.
It's great that you're really branching out, seeing what Melbourne has to offer.
Taste the local flair, the local flavor, and also work on them brand deals. Anyone from Subway out there, I really like your meatball subs.
Have you ever worked with Subway?
Yes, I have. Actually, yeah, when I used to work with My Damn Channel, that website a while ago, one of my first big brand deal situations was working with Subway sandwiches. I hopped so many Subway sandwiches, and maybe that's why I love them now.
Word. It's used when talking about sandwiches. It just sounds bad.
True, yes, that's very true. But what am I working on?
Yeah.
I'm working on, well, one, I figure out my place on YouTube a little bit. I think that's kind of par for the course for a lot of us right now. And then I'm also pitching some TV shows around. I'm kind of like making a little bit of a pivot to more traditional media again and dabbling with some scripted stuff. Yeah, there's actually we're pitching, and hopefully not for what something happens with this, but there's an amazing book called Hot Mess that's available in the UK. Can you imagine that I'm working on a project called Hot Mess? It's nuts. By this woman, she's a fantastic writer named Lucy Vine, and we're trying to adapt it into a TV show right now. Yeah. For like TV. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll see.
What's good about TV that's better than YouTube?
I think I'm just more curious to get more into or back into scripted stuff.
Yeah.
And dabble in that world. And
It's
so it's
very
not
hard to do
necessarily.
scripted on YouTube.
No, I mean we pitched to YouTube too. So.
But it's so hard to do. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
so in general, scripted is hard. I feel like scripted is hard on an online video for two big reasons. One, it's way more expensive
Right.
than unscripted.
Yeah.
Because you could just like, I've forgotten the name of your show with me.
Oh, this might get.
Yeah, with this might get.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to. You don't have
You
to.
can
You
churn
need
out a
bunch
lot of-
writers.
right.
You need like some topic generation work.
Mhm.
And there's definitely work that goes into it. It's not
Yeah.
like, but scripted, like when we did Lizzie Bennett Diaries, like
Right.
that was the cheapest you could do scripted.
Yeah.
It was way more expensive than anything I'd ever done.
Yeah, and that's really true. So it's a high risk situation. There's also just so much stuff trying to be made out there that a lot of companies don't want to take the time or have the patience to see if something catches on or see if something works. So you have to come in with like some form of proof of concept, whether it is like a person whose name's attached to a project, or it all of a sudden blows up, immediately after episode 1. So there's a lot of different factors, which is
The
a
other,
little
yeah,
crazy.
I also feel like audiences are not receptive to scripted on the YouTube because people are so lean forward that they're like, I cannot suspend my disbelief right now. This just looks like a bunch of actors acting. Which is why like my music and Lizzie Bennett Diaries kind of like leaned into that some.
Yeah.
By being like, we are recognizing that this is sort of.
Yeah, but also, what year did you do Lizzie Bennett Diaries? That was like 2012?
Yeah.
13? Yeah, which felt like, you weren't getting as lost in the sauce, too,
Right.
They're
Everyone's lost in the sauce.
yeah, one big gazpacho right now. It's really fun.
It's cold.
Yeah.
It's mushy.
Yeah, but I don't know, I think when I first started making YouTube videos, it felt really exciting because my world was like a traditional comedy scene, and I felt like I was one of the only people at the time making YouTube videos, which was exciting. So I think I'm really working on trying to figure out what's next, the way that YouTube felt like the what's next in that moment. And so that's kind of where my brain is at.
Yeah.
How about you? You're geared up for your book in less than a month?
Yeah, 25 days.
Yeah, I'm so
excited. Carl on the way up the escalator. I was spotted. Are you here? No, she went to a different thing.
And she wanted me to sign that and take a selfie, and she didn't even come to this.
I'm just also noticing that it's just like downtown jazzy hip hop on the screen. Enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, that's who I am on the inside. Yeah.
Pause screen for jazzy hip hop music. I don't know why that's on right now. It's fine. So this is the thing generally that I think about, like the interplay between the different things that we make and that we do, whether that's like a Lowe's commercial or whether that's a podcast or or a book. How those things play against each other and like how do I imagine them as a creator when they definitely do play off of each other and like am I writing a book because it's a way, like if you've got a YouTube audience, it's very hard, like you can't sell YouTube videos, no one buys them, like, and that's a dumb idea. So instead you sell like the 5 or 10 seconds before the YouTube video, and that's kind of an inefficient thing to do for your audience because their time is being sold at an extremely low rate because chances of the advertisement actually affecting them are very low. Or you find, but then like finding products that can sell is really good, and people like feel comfortable like understanding that this is something that you're used to paying for, like a board game or a T-shirt or a book, but also like figuring out that that's not the thing, that's not the reason to do it, because otherwise it's like, look, I made up an object, and I've seen YouTubers do this, I will not name any names, where it's just like, what's the easiest thing I can make that will feel like a thing you can buy? And that devalues all books. You know, when a YouTuber puts together something that's very, very simple, and just like sort of in the physical format of a book, but isn't a book, in a lot of ways, that like sort of takes away value from like every author in the world.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, that was my fear, and I wonder if you had this too. When I was sort of writing a book,
You put so much.
I put a lot. Well, because I think I made a conscious effort when I first started making videos to keep a lot of like my personal life secondary, tertiary to like what I thought was funny and being the main initiative in making videos. And so the books, because I watched your video this morning answering questions about your book, and I did some research. And just the interesting thing that you said about how you had ideas and stories and things creatively that you wanted to express that you couldn't express in a YouTube video, and so the format of the book felt more appropriate.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it was for me, though I was terrified to feel like I was coming into this like arena of literature that I respect and value, and I was going to taint it so hard with my garbage writing. I was so scared, but also felt like excited and passionate about wanting to make something that felt more personal, that felt like if I was a young girl, I would want this tangible thing with me. But there's still that inevitable fear of like, you have so much of a waiting period before and after that I'm sure your brain is probably feeling real good right now.
Yeah, it's very different from making a YouTube video, which is the majority of my creative experience, where I work on a YouTube video for between 4 hours and 2 days, and then I know what people think, and that's done. And this is like, I finished the book a year ago, and the publisher's like, well, we need to do a lot of things to the book. We need to edit the book, and we need to market the book, and then it's been a long time, man.
Right.
I finished this book basically like 4 months after my son was born, and he's almost 2.
Gross. Disgusting. But no, and I'm sure he's creatively too, like you said, you will still go and you wish you could add things and you can't, and it's finished, and you just sit there and you go, well, I hope it's enough, even though I would change a few things.
My editor did a terrible thing, which is I was like, I have an idea for something I'd like to put in the book, and she was like, well, we could put it in the electronic edition. And I was like, well then, I'm gonna put a ton of stuff in. If I can keep changing it, I'm just gonna do that forever. I'm gonna continue putting stuff in the ebook. Like 3 years from now, I'll be having ideas for this book.
But that's cool. That's more incentive to go buy new versions of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's a great, brilliant marketing strategy. God dang it. Why did I do that?
You subscribe to my book. And you have to reread it every month to see what's changed. Ooh, good way to tell a story. How do you decide what to talk about?
Oh, good question. In videos?
In everything.
Just in life, to people?
This right now. How do I decide what to ask you that question?
Well, I think I've had a lot of conditioning, and you can share this too, with hosting a podcast. You kind of almost are forced to learn how to have a conversation if you don't know already.
Yeah,
And
it should be a class in school. It's like a podcast class where you learn how to talk to people.
Yeah, but just lunch, sit, talk to each other.
With a microphone, right?
In front of everyone, yeah. But I think for videos it's gotten a little bit harder because I'm 32 now, spoiler alert, and so I think the stuff that I want to talk about is, you know, a little bit more mature than before, and figuring out like where I stand on how much of that I do want to get into and how much of it I do want to still like indulge in, like making fun of going back to high school. But the reality is like I'm 16 years out of high school. Like that's disgusting. So yeah, I think I'm kind of in like a weird lull trying to figure out how to figure that out.
Yeah, you can be like, you know, you can. I did a little research this morning too.
Uh-huh.
You can be like, hey, it's two ladies in their 30s talking about K-pop bands.
Hey, learning about K-pop
And
bands.
then and you're gonna maybe get some views, but also maybe get some people mad at you.
They were so mad about us trying to educate ourselves.
You don't understand
Guys.
the complexities of BTS.
Suga, I know. Sorry. I'm so sorry. We were only going off of what was given to us by our producer
You
Diane.
gotta do a follow-up. Where
We were
you get in contact with that top commenter and you're like, you come on the show. You
That's
Skype in and tell us,
Yeah, but I think,
set us straight.
I always think that,
Hire that super fan.
right? I always think that comedy is really kind of measured by intention. And I think a lot of people get upset because they don't understand that they might not have good intentions and no ill will of trying to ever put anyone down because that's just not our
I
sensibility.
mean, to be clear, I think you did well.
It did well because it's a popular topic, but we were shocked at how sensitive people were to us even commenting about, like, he's the second best dancer according to internet research, and they're like, he's the best, he's number one, he tries so hard. He's better than we could ever do. Yeah.
I think that an underrated part of making content is picking what to make your content about. Because you can be funny as hell. And I feel like if you put yourself on any topic, and I'm gonna pee myself halfway through the video. Well, I might not click on it though, if it isn't a topic that's like, ooh, I don't want to see what Chris thinks about K-pop though.
Yeah.
And so I think that topic selection ends up being this thing that nobody ever talks about, but is ultimately more important than titles and thumbnails and even the content that goes into the video sometimes.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
the people who are super genius about title selection end up being people who really
Yeah, I can't make clickbait titles. Hannah and I joke about how terrible we are if we actually try. But it's like, oh, sexy, dirty food test. I can't we do that. How does make it go or do it?
You're going up with good titles and you're like the sexy dirty food test. I don't know, I would watch that.
That's what they do in the morning episode, for sure.
But I think oftentimes it isn't about it's about picking the topic that's going to get you to a good title.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that I've stopped doing. I've stopped doing that. I mean, not 100% of the time, but I kind of stopped trying to grow my YouTube channel.
Yes,
And so but I'm also thinking about insights that what does that mean? And a lot of that means I'm making a video that's sort of going to make me the happiest.
yeah.
And that really is fundamentally different from what's going to grow my channel. And there's this sort of impulse to say no, whatever makes you happy, your joy will come out of the video, and people will love that and watch it. And yes, that's true, but and I will be able to maintain the audience that I have, and feel good about it, and also maintain my own ability to create, which is hard after 12 years if you're not enjoying it. But I do think that when I'm looking at comparing myself to somebody who's making content and growing right now, that a lot of it comes down to I would be picking different things to make videos about, and I would be excited about it because I knew it was going to get views, not because I was actually passionate about the content.
Yeah, that's a thing that I struggle with a lot, is that on a fundamental level, I understand what is clickbaity, I understand what is sexy, I understand what is working for a lot of growing YouTubers right now, but on a personal level, I just have not been able to bring myself to do that.
Don't want to do it.
Will It Keeney is as close as I could get to doing something dumb and sexy.
Yeah. Will It Keeney, dumb and sexy, and also, but I'm not going to show you what these things look like on me.
No, and then my mom got mad at me for it. But,
Really?
Yeah.
Will It Keeney is Grace's series where she tries to make bikinis out of things.
Yeah, that's basically what's garbage in my house that I need to get rid of so I could use in a video somehow. It's old dog toys. Yeah. And the bikinis, they keeney. But yeah, I think that's a hard thing, and I've said this before too. I mean, how many years have you been making content? 12?
Well, what counts as content? Grace, everything is content. Nowadays, it's too easy to make stuff. Instagram stories.
Hank got triggered hard last night about the idea of Instagram stories. I was not prepared for it, how angry it makes you.
I'm just like, why can't we just vlog?
Where do you stand on Snapchat?
I mean, where I stand on Snapchat is that like that is the same thing except nobody's using it. Is anybody from Snapchat? I apologize.
No.
I feel like because there's so much content available to be made, and because you've been doing it for, over a decade, that Mamrie once said, like, you can't export until you've imported enough stuff, and I feel like for the last 10 plus years I've been like exporting and creating so much content that the well is a little dry right now. That I'm like,
You need to have some
I need to go eat, pray, love it up right now. Yeah, just like drink, repress, and eat. Maybe that's in your book.
Eat, repress.
At least you put eat last.
Yeah, I mean, it's still there.
She's writing it down.
Yeah.
Take that.
The old noggin isn't as sharp as it used to be, so I have like notes all over my house that look like a serial killer. It's just like half-written to-do lists and things to remember. But I think that because you constantly are trying to think of things to make and put out there, that a lot of times I grapple with the pressure of putting something out there because it's trendy or interesting versus, do I actually care about this? Like, do I like this? Is it gonna come across in the video that like I don't seem to care? I'm just kind of forcing myself to do this.
And you also have to, once you have an audience, you have to not like make stuff that's going to alienate them.
Yeah.
And so there's also an element of that where it's like I know that my audience is perfectly happy with me making anything that I actually legitimately am happy with and enjoy.
Yeah.
And like sort of indulging in my own. But like if I'm making something that they're like, Hank is doing this for views, they will know, and so I will, and that will actually like remove them from the thing, and they're the most important person, not like the people that I might reach one time. It's the people who come back every time. Building that is so much more important than like getting getting 10,000 people to come watch one time.
Right.
Is getting 1,000 people to come watch 10 times. Way better in every way.
Yeah.
So that babies.
Maybe I totally agree with everything you say.
Oh, there's two of them.
Oh, my God, they multiplied. Oh, okay. Like 20.
Yes.
That's our new audience, babies. Babies.
23 months ago, I couldn't give a damn about a baby, and like 0 babies held interest for me. Like there was not a baby in the world that I cared to look at. And then like.
I've been preaching to the choir.
And then 2 months ago, when I had one, I was suddenly like, every baby is perfect. Can I please pinch it? And I'll be like, when I'm traveling, I'll be in an airport, and I'll be like, there's a baby over there. I'm like, I see a carriage. And I like go walk past, and I'm like, yes, good baby. Real weird.
Kind of a harsher criticism of bad babies?
No, they're all good. Now, like, there's a crying baby on a plane, and I'm like, oh, can I cheer you up? He's like, oh, that soft little baby cry. And I'm like, who am I? I'm enjoying the worst sound. It's like the worst sound, and I'm like, I love it.
Really? Okay, I was going to ask you, how does the baby, in speaking about how you figure out your content, like, has that affected, obviously, like, what you want to talk about and how you want to talk about things?
I don't know that it's affected. Maybe it has. I haven't explored that internally. What it has definitely changed is my schedule. And so like 6 months into having a son, I was like, I am not getting my work done. Like things are not getting done. I'm dropping balls. I'm constantly behind, and I don't know what's wrong. Like I can't. Like I'm not doing anything different. And then I realized that like I was working a lot on having a baby.
Yeah.
And that
So
took
it's the baby's
time.
fault. It's the baby's fault.
So I was working, get this, like on work about 40 hours a week. And and it turned out that for the last 10 years of my life, I've been working between 60 and 80 hours a week. And there's like, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
And so I could be more efficient, I could work harder, I could spend less time on Twitter, but I wasn't gonna get everything done. And I had to like, that's the thing that changed. I had to be like, okay, so there are things that I used to do that I'm not gonna do anymore. What are those things? How do I structure my life? How do I delegate? How do I get rid of some stuff?
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that like ultimately, like I still am dropping balls, but I'm doing much better. And so that's
And you're accepting it.
Yeah, and it wasn't,
If you fight against it, that's when like anger, resentment, depression sets in. Yeah.
Right. Be like, oh, this dang child.
Yeah.
You don't want to have that feeling.
Nope.
So yeah, that's a big, but like I don't think that like the way that I approach content has changed that much. I think that like we were always pretty values based already.
Yeah.
I'm definitely more worried about the world. I'm worried about what high school looks like in you know,
Yeah.
12 years when my son is going to high school, because
Yeah.
now I do not want to be a child right now. It's hard, and like there's just so much like, and they're all like, everybody's a content creator, and everybody's sort of like of course we were all very careful with our image when we were in middle school and high school. Do you have those things here? That the phrases that you use?
Primary and high school.
Primary and high school. Wait, what's the in between?
Middle
That's
school.
it.
That's it.
So year 7 is high school, and then year 6 is primary
We
school.
really overcomplicated.
No, I still have middle school.
We have middle school.
We have middle
Middle school for 2 years.
We had a special ninth grade
7, 8,
school that was
9.
just ninth graders.
10 to 12?
Yeah, and there was the ninth grade center.
We have intermediate at New Zealand.
It's because Orlando grew too fast. And
We have
all
middle school.
the high schools were too small, and they were like, well, I guess we'll just put one grade in this one.
Not too
Yeah.
I'm
So I
fine.
went to lots of different schools, but I never moved. Yeah. I worry about that. I just think it's like we were all very careful with our image when we were children, of course.
Yeah, I can't imagine having
But,
access to social media in primary school.
And like, no, I just think
No.
the ways in which we can be, like the data points we have for judgment. Like, how many likes did this one get? Quick, delete that. It's not getting enough likes. People don't like my face. It's not good.
In those like transformative years of your life, that's a great constant inner monologue to have.
I want to talk about, this is like the danger zone. This is a topic no one ever talks about.
Oh my God, what?
I'm going to go to the danger zone.
Oh no.
Remember us as we were. Happy
Dang.
So you, in a former life, you did like the beauty pageant stuff some.
One time I was in the Miss New Jersey pageant because I was curious and
It was just because you were curious.
I was basically, if you imagine a pig pen from a Peanuts cartoon entering a beauty pageant. The one with the dust that kicks up every time he walks.
So you were dirty, but still beautiful.
I was unique and authentically me.
But the danger zone is that it matters what you look like.
Yeah, it was weird, and I think that's how I really defined for myself that I wanted to pursue comedy, because I felt like I was the only one there that genuinely, realistically thought it was so bizarre and so comically bizarre, but everyone else was treating it as this is a real situation to care about. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever been a part of. We had to dance with scarves in our bathing suits, and I was like, what is that? They don't know.
Oh, good.
There's one photo that's this big online, and
You with your scarf.
yeah.
I mean, I think that, like, obviously in certain kinds of content, it matters more what you look like. Like, I feel like there's a certain amount of, like, with beauty creators, it helps to be beautiful. And, like, this is a thing that, to some extent, can be affected by how you are, you know, how you are working on your appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a skill and a talent. And then there is, to some extent, it's like, you know, this is just what you're born with.
Yeah.
And, like, I never, like, thought of myself as attractive until, like, I started to be an online video creator, and I was like, well, I could do this and this. I could cut my hair more often. I can wear different clothes.
Sure.
And like one, you like are seeing yourself through the eyes of the audience, and you're getting feedback on your looks, much more as a woman than as a man, but even as a man. And so like you start to think about it more. Even as like a 38-year-old, I shouldn't care about this that much.
Well, you're human, and so that's just human nature.
Yeah, but I wonder about that. And do you think about that as a person that like as a good-looking person, like how does this enter into your brain?
Clearly, I'm very comfortable with this conversation. No,
It's a danger zone.
Yeah, when I first started doing comedy, when I first started making YouTube videos, it was overwhelming how much people wanted to dissect every little thing about you physically, and so but
Particularly physically.
I mean, within like the first couple years of making videos, I learned every flaw I had not known about myself. But
Why don't people like get super into dissecting your comedy?
Some people do. That's rude.
I turned my ring off.
It was overwhelming, but then being able to look at it through like a comedy lens of being like, this really doesn't matter. This is kind of nuts. And seeing also the beauty guru community and these women that were presenting themselves completely polished and beautiful and cute and like effortlessly like good hygiene. I was like, why can't I would get in my head about like, I want to do that, and I would like try curling my hair, or putting on makeup, or doing X, Y, or Z. But then I felt like the more I was genuinely myself, I was like wearing sweatpants and like filming myself, in a vlog immediately, like out of a shower, or like just waking up and wildly hungover. That people responded more to that than me trying to be so presentational about myself. And that's I wrote a lot about this. Thank you. Stop putting me in a box. What if I wanted it that way? This is my second book, Raising Style, about just like the beauty industry is so bizarre and so full of peer pressure, full of societal pressure, that it's almost, it's hard to like not admit that you don't care about that kind of stuff. Because, as a human being, I want to feel beautiful, but I have to make sure that I'm doing it on my own terms for me, instead of doing it because I hope that people think I'm really pretty in this video. I remind myself that the reason I started making content was to make someone laugh, not to make someone turned on in a way.
Yeah.
Which my dad would be so proud of.
You even said that just now.
Yeah, those are where my morals are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I also think like it's so easy to not, of course we all look at ourselves in the mirror and we're like, I'm not a huge fan of that.
Sure.
And so it's easy to get in your head about it and to not think that well, this isn't working because of X, Y, or Z. And I once asked Hannah Hart, I was doing research for my book, and I was like, when was the first time you realized you were pretty? And she said, just now. This is weird for her to say.
That's cute.
But I sort of because I don't have a female experience, and I've got it from a female protagonist, trying to get into some of those moments for a young woman. And I think that that's very true. We look at ourselves, as YouTubers, we look at ourselves so much. And you sort of of course, desensitized. People are like, how do you feel about the sound of your own voice? Because I remember those first times when I heard a recording of myself, and I was like, ugh. And
Same.
I hear no difference.
Yeah.
And I feel I hear my voice all the time. I stare at my face. I look at my own face more than I look at other people.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to say that is true.
Yeah.
And then I have lots of employees who look at my own face more than they look at other people. I think that part of it is looking at other people's content and feeling of course we are much less judgmental in general, hopefully, of other people's looks than we are of our own. And having that be something that can almost feel like a barrier, where I have to this is the thing that is in between what I'm trying to say and people hearing it, and they're and the face is there as this thing that they're thinking about. They're thinking about this face, not about the words. And that's part of why a lot of educational content doesn't have faces in it, because you don't want any block between the content. You don't want any intermediary.
Oh, I've never thought about that before. That's really interesting. Did anyone see Bo Burnham's movie 8th Grade?
I haven't yet.
I highly, highly
I
recommend.
don't think it must not be out here yet.
Okay. Well, when it gets here, please go see it because it really chronicles, like from the female perspective, the idea of being in 8th grade with all of these different pressures, digitally and just like socially, and accepting yourself and how you look and how it affects your relationships with others. It's really, really great. And as a female that had an 8th grade experience, it brought out a lot of repressed panic attack moments for me. So that way, go check it out.
I'm gonna ask people to start thinking about questions if you've got. Okay, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's
Oh,
going?
yeah.
Yeah, you go.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right,
good.
Gene Jack.
Thank you. Okay, so one question I've always wanted to know, with comedy, a lot of people say that you shouldn't be apologizing for your jokes, but in this, I guess, PC world, is that something that is still a relevant statement?
Yeah, it's really hard.
I'm gonna
like-
repeat the question for the sound for the.
Yeah.
So people say don't apologize for your comedy, but like it's 2018, so should you ever apologize for your comedy?
It's,
Did I do it?
I think it's really a kind of a personal decision for a lot of comedians, I think. For myself, the way I think of it is, like I said, where are my intentions with this joke? And if someone is offended or someone's upset with something that I've done, how do I create a conversation about it rather than something constructive for both sides that might be helpful for myself or helpful for the audience understanding where my point of view is coming from. And obviously, I've apologized for things that I've definitely been able to kind of step back from, look at with a wider lens and realize how it could hurt someone and that it's not constructive to try and back up what I originally thought this point of view was. So I think it's just like being respectful, like really coming from a place of respect. If a comedian says something that you think is offensive, kind of ask yourself why and where are they coming from with their intentions on whatever joke it is. I think people are really impatient, especially online, to try and understand each other and very, very eager to be angry with each other. And so trying to foster that patience of understanding, I think is a good starting point to come into your comedy voice with.
Yeah, I also think that like in the moment, like apologizing in the moment is kind of like saying like here's a joke, but actually I probably shouldn't have told it. So like if you're apologizing in the moment, in the same breath, like in the same moment you're telling the joke, then it's like how do I rewrite this joke so that I don't have to apologize for it? Like how do I believe in the joke? How do I believe in the good? Like sometimes you think of a thing. We were talking about this last night actually. Sometimes you think of a thing that is funny and you're like this is a good joke, and it is hard to, but it's also bad for the world. Or something,
Yeah.
and then I put it in my Twitter drafts, and I'm like, I made that joke.
Hank has like thousands of drafts in his Twitter that I had no idea. I have no drafts.
I save everything that I think of, and I'm like, that's a great tweet, and like 90% of people really like this tweet, but like 10% of people
It
would
could be
be
problematic.
negatively affected by it.
Yeah, and so is it worth it?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna do it. Or like people will think less of me if I tell that joke.
Yeah.
And so like figuring out like how do I reflect my intentions in this joke, or how do I say like, well, maybe that one's just for my friends.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's a dangerous game that you play. If you are
I know.
fully
it's
writing them out and then going, draft or send draft. Yeah, I couldn't do that. I would mess that up far too many times.
I also have a Twitter rule that is if even if a small percentage of people are misunderstanding the intent, then I just kick it. It's gone. I delete it.
Yeah.
Because it's the internet and it's so hard, especially with Twitter, more than with a video where you get to
Explain yourself.
you've got facial expressions, you've got tone of voice to convey stuff that you can't convey in a tweet.
Yeah. When are they going to let us italicize on Twitter? That would change a lot. Sarcasm would be fully understood, I feel like, if we could
Use
italicize.
slashes on the side of the word. That's how I italicize on Twitter.
Oh.
And use asterisks for bold.
Yeah.
Some of IRC shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's But I want you to ask more questions because that one was good. But I guess we'll go to somebody else now. Other jean jacket. It's only jean jackets today.
My name is Max from What's Up Balls. My question is, if you're getting a lot of, you're having views and watch minutes in millions, but your subscribers are not there. What is it that the person is doing wrong, or what is not doing right, or what he should do?
Well, I think like you got a lot of views, but not like
A lot of
creator who has a lot of
views.
views, but not a lot of subscriptions. A number of different things. One, that's actually really good news because it means that you're growing.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. Another thing is that you might be having views among people who don't have YouTube accounts. So that tends to happen a lot when people have like, this is probably not you, but for example, a creator who's making content that's really popular with like middle-aged American moms might be getting a lot of views, but not a lot of subscriptions because middle-aged American moms don't know what subscriptions are.
My mom hasn't subscribed to my channel. She doesn't know how. I mean, she watches every single video I make and every This Might Get video, and I thought she was joking, telling me like, eventually I'll subscribe. I was like, Mom, great joke for the 5th week in a row. But she was really telling me that she did not know how to create an account and subscribe to the channel. So yeah,
People aren't logged in.
I can attest that exists in the world. For sure.
And then another thing is if you are creating content that's, probably if I look at your channel, I'd be able to answer this question much more quickly. But it could also be that you're creating content that is people are sort of seeing as like, I'm enjoying this in the moment, but I don't really need to see the next one. And so any way that you can create a deeper relationship and like a more personality, like take, SciShow, for example, is a show that is about science, but it's not about personality. And so like people are like ideally are coming back for the SciShow brand and like wanting that relationship. But then there's also like it's much easier to do that with a human, and you have that individual human interaction, like that feeling of this is my YouTube friend, and I want to come back and see everything that they do. So that's also something where you are more likely to get somebody who wants to come back for a video. But I think also like in the early days of YouTube, we sort of trained people what subscriptions were, and we forget that that still has to be done for some groups of people. Like it hasn't been done for everyone. It's been like obviously everybody into the like American teenagers know what YouTube subscriptions are. But there's lots of demographics that don't.
I have a question for Grace. Do you think LinkedIn video will ever be a thing?
LinkedIn video? Why is this a question for Grace?
LinkedIn video?
Do you remember the panel from last year?
Oh, I don't remember what happened last night. That we wanted to make LinkedIn video a thing?
There was a lady on your panel with the feminist panel, and she just kept on going on about LinkedIn video, and no one was into it.
Yes. I think I just like tuned out because I was like, I don't know what's happening. But I'm not going to make this person feel bad. Here's hoping. You don't know what's going to happen, but LinkedIn video, stranger things have happened. It's a story, for instance. So, there's got to be content for everyone. I think where you and I differ, although I'm frustrated with how many different ways there are to create content, and I get stressed about trying to maintain them. I think the cool thing about that is that not everyone can make YouTube videos. But people can make great Instagram videos or great stories. Like Busy Phillips, this actress from the US, has really, really big. My book editor introduced me to her Instagram account because she was like revolutionizing the way that inaccessible actresses and celebrities created Instagram stories, and she was gaining this huge following, just being herself authentically.
Why can't Busy Phillips make a vlog?
She doesn't have time for that. She's a very successful actress. But that's what's cool is that.
That's what I'm saying. She's too successful. Competing with me.
Getting to the root here.
You're making it too easy to make content.
Okay. That was a little peanut butter and jelly over there.
Yeah, no, I understand that it's not a good position that I have.
Sure.
It's just my position.
You're entitled to it.
It's just the last 10 years, it really has been about like how do we decrease the barrier to content creation. And like YouTube did that tremendously, and it was like the hugest leap we've ever had in that. And then it's just gotten easier and easier until like the Instagram story is such a fast, easy way that it almost like makes daily vlogs obsolete. And then I'm like, but like I like that format, and now it's going away. But I guess like other people might feel that way about like musical theater. It's like also less popular than it once was.
Yeah,
And I might have to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, when Vine was at the height, I remember I was like, I gotta figure out Vine. It's like the comedy platform, and I could not do it. I could not make Vines. One of my most popular Vines is like Hank drunk dancing in my old PlayStation. That's as close as I got to making like a funny, decent Vine. And so I was like, phew, when that platform went away. Really dodged a bullet to figure that one out. But yeah, and so I think LinkedIn video, 2019, get everyone log in. I'm gonna accept finally everyone's LinkedIn.
There's always like this there's a little bit of an obsession with how do you get on the upswing of a platform? Because
Yeah.
if you can, then you can ride that wave up. But like we forget how many times people have tried to ride a wave that ended up being already on the way down.
Yeah.
And that it's a risk when you're investing in a platform. And we have a lot of survivor bias where we're like, it worked so well for a key batch. And it's like, well, Vine turned out to be a good wave to ride. Though not necessarily the longest lived one. So I can't believe that. I still can't believe that happened.
I know, remember Vine? It's crazy. But that's what's kind of crazy that, I used to think I had some handle on the pulse of like the evolution of digital content, and now I really have no idea.
Yeah. No, it's too big, man.
Yeah. Shut it down. Shut it down.
It's over.
And now that's
Okay.
good.
I'll go with the New York City. New York Film
Yeah.
Club.
Yeah, I actually come from the top Australia. I don't come from America. This is just a shirt I got from the Gold Coast. From John Jersey. My question is, what do you think about streaming?
What do I think about streaming? You streaming us now?
Are you on Twitch? Is this Twitch?
No, it's on YouTube.
YouTube streaming.
Oh, okay, that's more appropriate, I guess.
Yeah. Twitch
What do you think about streaming?
I think that so in a lot of ways, and this is kind of how we feel about Busy Philip on Instagram stories. There are these things that are ways to make content that people with established existing audiences can't use because they're too much work, but audiences are hungry for it, and so it creates space for new people to get in and do it. And that happened 100% with Twitch, where I was like, Twitch is happening. I know it's happening. I could start on Twitch, and this was like 2014, and like I could do this, and probably I would be good enough at it that I could grow an audience and make money on Twitch. But I can't, because like I can't stream 6 hours a week. It's just not there. It's not like the space isn't there in my life, and so it creates space for other people to continue to have new people making new things, and that's very exciting. And also because Twitch was aware of the fact that like having an economic ecosystem around content was vital to the creative, like the creativity of creators. In a way that, like, for example, Snapchat was bad at and continues to be bad at. Like, it's very hard to make money with your Snapchat. It's very easy to make money with your Twitch. Like Twitch now is so attractive to people.
It's actually something I'm super curious and have been trying for the last couple of months to really figure out. Because I know like people like Casey Neistat are experimenting with it. That's always a flag. Like if Casey's interested in it, maybe this is something I should be interested in. And he's still trying to figure it out. And there's definitely, it's interesting to me because it's not just hit a button, go live, quack about whatever you want, hope people tune in and subscribe. And there's a whole formula to it. It's a lot like how people initially perceive making YouTube videos, just kids in their bedroom talking about nonsense and then uploading it. But it's like a really curious new endeavor for me. I think because we have podcasts and that whole world, and I see people like H3H3 have huge success with it, and kind of have a very reminiscent style to like Howard Stern's old podcast or radio show. That it's kind of like a new iteration of that. So I'm really curious about it. So any of those on the stream that would like to...
There's no one watching. There was like 3 people who clicked on. I'm pretty sure one of them's probably the same person. I told them the same person. But yeah, they clicked, they already exited. There's no one watching. There's one like though. One. Yeah.
That might be me.
Probably.
So I don't know how heavily edited your show with Mingry is. Could that be something that you like just bring that into a box?
Well, yeah. The show kind of like the initial, so if you want, my friend Amy Hart and I make a show called This Might Get. It's kind of Monday through Friday, and it's like a 8 to 10 minute show. show, just kind of taking.
Do you film that every day, or do you film a
No,
bunch
we
of them?
film once a week, like 6 episodes
Yeah.
in a day. So we churn out a lot of content. We're actually kind of retooling it when we get back after this and see what the next like evolution is, because we've been fiddling with the format a little bit. So I'm excited to kind of evolve it. And that is really great because that was just like kind of low-hanging fruit for us. We talked about the idea of we hang out so frequently and we, create and write a lot of stuff together. Why weren't we doing a podcast or something like that? And so then Studio 71 came to us and was like, we would love you to make like a show with us. And we had always been talking about like what's our version of the Today Show, like what's our like more realistic version of Kathy and Hoda. I don't know if you guys know those TV hosts over here. And so that's kind of what it's been like an incubating process to see, is there a bigger show here for a different platform? Is there a bigger show here on YouTube? We're really inspired, obviously, by Brett and Link and their ability to be genuinely great hosts and friends and hear their point of view on trends and things that happen in the world and in pop culture. So it's kind of a growing process, but we'll see how it goes. But because YouTube is so saturated, there's a little bit of kind of anticipation of larger growth quicker. And so it's kind of a little like, oh wow, yeah, you really do have to hit big or like grow over time consistently. So it's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, and so that show also is a little bit of money goes into it because it's like
The whole team.
people in the room.
Yeah, we have producers, we have an editor, we have shooters, we have equipment. Yeah, so it's a bigger risk, higher production scenario. We're still able to churn out a lot of content, but there's a lot more financial risk involved than just me at home clicking my own camera on and editing my own video.
Yeah, I mean that transition from like, and also like, it's not like this is a high-budget show though.
No,
That
it's like
transition from like basically free, except our time shouldn't be free, and we shouldn't imagine it as free. We should imagine it as a resource, but like basically free.
yeah.
To like low budget production is a huge jump. And
It's
like,
a huge jump, and advertisers especially, if they see a project like that, unless it's getting the millions and millions of views every day, it's not as exciting to them. So it's been an interesting new endeavor to try to, blend sponsorship into, with the, assuring them that there's going to be consistency and growth here, but it's just maybe not at the level that they're most interested in right now.
and also like, I don't know, like I try to make the case to advertisers all the time that like, it's actually higher impact to advertise on 10 shows that are getting 50,000 views a video,
Yeah.
or even less than that, than to find one show that's getting 500,000 views a video. Because it feels more like, oh, you're helping out my fave. They need the help, they need the support. Like instead of being like, oh, you're helping out Red and Link, who, are great, but are probably gonna be fine.
Yeah. They're good.
Yeah, the leather jacket?
Yes. This is kind of going back to where you were talking about media evolving. Do you think on YouTube and in general that it's evolving too fast for a lot of us to keep up with? Like the internet is expanding so fast, YouTube, so many new creators are appearing, and it seems to have changed so much in the last 2 years as opposed to the last 10 years. Do you think it's evolving so quickly as it's difficult for anybody to keep up with it all?
Yeah, as online video as YouTube is like all this stuff evolving too fast for anyone to keep up with it. I mean, part of what I'll say to that is that smaller productions find it easier to keep up with change than larger productions, which is why, I have a job instead of like Discovery doing what I'm doing. I was able to do it because Discovery couldn't act. You got Discovery here?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have cheap.
Couldn't move fast enough to adopt this stuff. Couldn't make stuff cheap enough. Couldn't figure out how to do it. And now I can't move fast enough to keep up with a lot. Like, because I have employees and we have structure and we have things, so it's harder for us to make something really new. And like that's part of how and why this ecosystem stays fresh. But that also means that people have to be constantly thinking about how they're going to change their channels and how to adapt to how things are now. And if you're making stuff that's like, oh, I really liked this is something that I will often find, like somebody will send me their channel, I'm like, this is very good. This is like way better than what I was making in 2014, but nobody wants to watch like a new vlogger right now. It's just like there's so much stuff out there that you can be a vlogger. Even that, like there are vloggers that are way better than me, making video vlogs, way better than anything I'll ever make, but won't get an audience because there's just like that format isn't enough anymore. Like you have to have something on top of it. You have to be, you know, like you have to be in it. Like it has to be that plus something else.
Yeah, and I think for like veteran content creators too, I find it really difficult to just on a personal level keep up. I mean, a lot of the strategy, without knowing it when we first started making videos, was really immersing yourself in part of the community, like getting to know each other, cross-promoting, collaborating, genuinely wanting to, you know, talk and figure out what you can create together. And I, even like going onto YouTube to find new creators or to find people to collaborate with is very overwhelming to
it's like it takes a huge amount of emotional labor to be like, hey, I guess we should be friends for business reasons.
Yeah. And everyone's
gone. For myself, it's pretty obvious that I stick to my like main group of collaborators.
You're good at
And
keeping
so
attention.
even like coming to a convention
Back
like
to
this,
the
my brain goes, oh, you're gonna be around creators that you normally won't get a chance to see.
And then I like walk over and I'm like, hello, the table of Mamrie, Grace, and
Yeah, I know. And I just clutch onto his ankles and please don't hit me. Talk to everyone else.
like, do you want me to introduce you to like somebody in their 20s?
But it's also, you know, it's become such a business when really it's hard and sometimes like a little sad to let go of how much fun it was in the beginning and how just completely authentic everyone was and how genuine the excitement was for making video and the unbelievability that people were watching and that other people were doing it and it was growing. And so now the transparency of like cross-collaborating feels a little gross, which it shouldn't, because it's, you know, you have to be part of the business to run your business, but it's hard. So it's, you know, it's kind of like a muscle you have to consistently exercise.
Yeah, and also like always be looking at what's working, because there's people are like, how did you get successful on YouTube? And I'm like, my story doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so I look at who's getting successful now and modeling after those things. It's, and like I do that even now, and like knew that there was a moment when I was like, we need to do some formatted shows that aren't about personality, they're not about me and John, they're about science or history or whatever. And like,
but it's still authentic to you. It's not like you're trying to make like a pop culture like gossip show, you know, which I would love to see.
puts knives on fidget spinners.
Yes.
Great. I mean, talk about marketing products.
Yeah. There was a whole knife on the fidget spinner thing for a while.
Yeah. Fireworks and fidget spinners. Remember that?
I'll go with you.
Hey, do you guys have any best practices for how to get your community to engage with each other rather than just being a solo viewer and then leaving?
How do you get the community to engage with itself instead of being like, this is like, I'm a person watching you, and it'd be great if you communicated with me, creator, but also there's other people in the audience and they should hang out with each other because they're interested in the same kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I don't do as much as I should. Like being like, guys, talk, hang out. You have one, you know, mutual interest, me.
Hello.
But I think it's a real wonderful kind of like organic thing that's happened. You know, my friendships with people like Hank and with Mamrie and Hannah, I think kind of foster like a community of people that also want to talk to each other and be friends and have that social community and have an in to like already talking to each other about it. I think that's one of the, I mean, I was really hesitant to make merch when I first started, and you're wearing some of this and I get merch and it looks great on you. But because I thought, I was like, oh, you're selling out, like what you were saying earlier, like this seems like an easy avenue for like a revenue stream. But then I realized, I heard someone say that like, they like the merch because they can spot someone else across the room wearing it, and that's already a conversation that's created for them to like connect. And that to me, I was like, cool. I understand that.
Yeah, and that's a service that I'm providing for $19.99. Not Australian.
Oh, jeez,
And
that's a bit
the
mean.
other thing is like create places for it. So we've had success with Discord servers.
Yeah.
And if you like go and hang out in the Discord server once a week, you're there, you're answering questions, you're meeting people, but then like when you're not there, that community still exists and is doing things. We've done that, you know, we've done that like back before Discord on IRC, we've done it in bulletin boards, which are nightmare sometimes. Facebook groups, there's a lot of different, and depending on the size of audience, it can be good to have multiple places because they start to establish cultures of their own and feel maybe for a new person after a server has existed for a year, it feels kind of impenetrable. And they're like, I don't understand the culture of this place and I feel like I've walked into a room where a bunch of friends are hanging out and I don't know any of them and this is a little weird. So you try and create a new space that might be for other people. Like we had a lot of success for a while with the Minecraft server, but that was its own very specific audience. And then like the things happening on Facebook groups had a very different demographic than the Minecraft server, which is maybe not a huge surprise.
Also, we have just a little convention called VidCon that brings everyone together.
Oh, what about this?
What a great end of the panel.
Yeah. Hey, this was fun. Thank you for the conversation.
Yes.
I didn't mean to say it like a cyborg, but.
Grace, I just want to thank you for the conversation.
That was fun.
Where's the next one?
The next one is in half an hour in.
Sign yourself out. Did you say like?
Yeah.
Out.
What? Bye.